Adjectives and adverbs. An adjective is a word that describes a noun or pronoun. It often answers questions such as which one, what kind, and how many. The green sweater belongs to Iris, so green modifies the noun sweater, so it's an adjective. She looks beautiful. Beautiful here is an adjective that modifies she. This is one of the only times that the adjective will come after the verb, come after the noun, is when you have subject plus linking verb plus adjective. An adverb is a word that describes a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. Adverbs frequently end in ly. They answer questions such as how, to what extent, why, when, and where. Bertrand sings horribly. And also any word that ends in ly is an adverb. And so an adverb then modifies the verb. How did Bertrand sing? He sings horribly. My sociology professor is extremely wise. So extremely, it modifies wise. So it can either an adverb can either modify a verb or an adjective. So how wise is he? He is extremely wise. He threw the ball very accurately. And so here you have very, and very is an adverb. And how did he throw the ball? Accurately. And so here very modifies accurately, and accurately modifies how well he threw the ball, which is interesting. Everything modifies everything else. So in sentence 3, horribly describes the verb sings. How does Bertrand sing? He sings horribly. In sentence 4, extremely describes the adjective wise. How wise is the instructor? Extremely wise. In sentence 5, very describes the adverb accurately. How accurately did he throw the ball? Very accurately. So everything modifies everything else. So an adverb is very versatile. A comparative. Adjectives and adverbs are used to compare two people or things. Jorge is thin. Stephen is thinner than Jorge. Sentence 1 describes Jorge with the adjective thin, and then sentence 2 compares Jorge to Stephen, stating that Stephen is thinner, so much thinner, and so thinner is the comparative form of thin. So form comparatives in one of following ways. If the adjective or adverb is a one-syllable word, add er to it to form the comparative. For example, big, fast, short would become bigger, faster, and shorter in the comparative form. If the adjective or adverb is a word of 2 or more syllables, place the word more in front of it to form the comparative. For example, happily, comfortable, and jealous would become more happily, more comfortable, and more jealous in the comparative. Superlative. Adjectives and adverbs are used to compare more than 2 people or 2 things. Jake is the loudest cheerleader on the squad. Kenyatta was voted the most confident student by her graduating class. Sentence 1 shows that Jackie is not just louder than one other person, but she is the loudest of all the cheerleaders on the squad. Sentence 2 shows that Kenyatta was voted the most confident student of all the students in her class. Form superlatives in one of 2 ways. If the adjective or adverb is a one-syllable word, add est to form the superlative. For example, biggest, fastest, shortest. For example, big, fast, and short would become biggest, fastest, shortest. If the adjective or adverb is a word of 2 or more syllables, place the word most in front of it. For example, happily, comfortable, and jealous would become most happily, most comfortable, and most jealous in the superlative form. Irregular words. Good, well, bad, and badly. And so good, better, best. Well, better, best. Bad, worse, worst. Badly, worse, worst. You cannot say much better. You cannot say much worsest. You can't say gooder than or weller than or not that sort of thing. So you have to follow these formats. And so that's why good, well, and bad are irregular, because you don't say goodest, wellest, baddest, and you don't say gooder, weller, badder. Okay? Good versus well. Good is always an adjective. This is a word that describes a noun or pronoun. The second sentence is correct because well is an adverb that tells how something is done. Cecilia felt that she had never done so good on the test. Correct. That's incorrect because here you're using good as an adverb. And so you want to use, in other words, how did she do on the test? She did very well on the test. So we don't say good, because good is only used as an adjective, and good is never used as an adverb. So if you want to use something did really well, you would say well instead of good. Well is always an adverb that describes a verb, adverb, or adjective. The second sentence is correct because good is an adjective that describes the noun score. Cecilia's team received a well score. Well, we don't say well because well is an adverb, and so therefore we want to use an adjective there. So the correct answer is Cecilia's team received a good score. Bad is always an adjective. The second sentence is correct because badly is an adverb that tells how the speaker did on the test. I did bad on my accounting test because I didn't study. And so this is incorrect because bad is always an adjective. So you could say bad student, bad grade, but you can't say I did bad, because then bad is trying to modify did or a verb, and if you want to turn it into an adverb, okay, only adverbs modify verbs, so therefore you would use badly, because any word that ends in ly is an adverb, and then it would modify did. So badly is always an adverb. The second sentence is correct because bad is an adjective that describes the noun thunderstorm. The following are examples. So the coming thunderstorm looked badly. So here the coming thunderstorm looked bad. And so here bad modifies thunderstorm, because whenever you have a subject and then you have a linking verb and you have an adjective, that's the only time that an adjective will come after the noun, is when you have subject, linking verb, adjective. The following are examples of the use of better and worse. Tyra likes sprinting better than long distance running. The traffic is worse in Chicago than in Atlanta. The following are examples of the use of best and worst. The Tyra sprints best of all the other competitors. Peter finished worst of all the runners in the race. And so if you're talking about, if you're comparing two things, then we use a superlative. If we're comparing more than two things, if you are comparing two things, you use a comparative. If you're comparing more than two things, you use a superlative. So let me repeat that again. If you're comparing two things, that's when you use a comparative. And if you're comparing more than two things, you use a superlative. And always superlatives have the est, while comparatives have the er. So the irregular words, good, well, bad, and badly, are often misused along with their comparative and superlative forms, better, best, worse, and worst. You may not hear the difference between worse and worst, and therefore type it incorrectly. In a formal or businesslike tone, use each of these words to write 8 separate sentences. Assume that these sentences will be seen and judged by your current or future employer. And so if you're at work, you need to be able to know the difference between good, well, bad, and badly. If you use these words incorrectly, and if you say something like, I did bad on my test, for instance, or I did bad on last month's profits, or something like that. We did bad. Our whole team did bad in getting profits for the quarter. And then your boss is going to look at you and think, you mean you did badly, don't you? You know, he'll think it, but he won't say it. And he'll think that you need to go back to elementary school to learn better English, okay? So you don't want to have that kind of impression from the boss. So you need to know the proper usage of good, well, bad, and badly. So key takeaways. Adjectives describe a noun or a pronoun. Adverbs describe a verb, adjective, or another adverb. Most adverbs are formed by adding ly to an adjective. Comparative adjectives and adverbs compare two persons or things. Superlative adjectives or adverbs compare more than two persons or things. The adjectives good and bad and the adverbs well and badly are unique in their comparative and superlative forms and require special attention. And so that ends this video on adjectives and adverbs. And so if you have any questions, if you have any questions, feel free to email me at any time. And if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to the Professor H Writing channel.